So I'm here in the Presidio Woods, trying to chase the fog. It was here a minute ago, and now it's gone. It's been kind of a cat and mouse game with the fog pretty much all day. I'm gonna still keep searching though, because it is a really beautiful day today. We've got some really awesome conditions. What's awesome about today is the fog is a little bit thinner and we're right at the edge, and it's creating some beautiful light in the trees. Oftentimes when it's foggy in San Francisco, it's a little too thick to get light rays. It's usually just caked in fog and it's kind of shrouded in darkness. Whereas right now you can see there's light bursting on my face. And every once in a while the fog kind of filters through and creates some really cool light rays. So it's kind of what I'm chasing today. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get it, but I'm gonna keep chasing it. So I hiked up to a higher vantage point, and you can see we're kind of in this pocket where the fog is just sort of sitting out to sea right there. But you can see a ton of fog over there in the Land's End area. So we're going to head towards Land's End to capture more fog. So I walked all the way down the Land's End Trail, and there wasn't any fog. It was just sitting out to sea. And to be honest with you, I was starting to get a little bit discouraged. And I made it over here to the Citro Bath area, and I actually found a pretty cool grouping of trees to photograph that were just kind of lined up against this really thick layer of fog. So I think I'm going to shoot that right now. I'm actually pretty happy with the way this is looking so far. I love these little twirly trees on either side, and then this spot that kind of breaks up the vertical lines. And I plan on doing a crop here. I'm going to crop out this section, probably do like an 8x10 with this photo. So I've got this on a tripod. I'm doing f/16. You can't see the lens connected right now because I'm using an adapter for the 70-200. But yeah, I'm just doing 10-second timers and just letting the camera go just to make sure I get a completely steady and stable shot. So here's the photograph I was just playing around with. Very simple frame with the silhouettes of these trees, and I like the shapes here, although I think I was a little more excited about this shot while I was taking the picture than I was while I got into Lightroom and started processing it, which is oftentimes the case. I'm sure you've had that before, where you're taking the picture, you're super excited, you think it's going to be amazing, and then you get back to Lightroom and you realize, well, it's okay. Well, that's sort of how I felt about this image. I felt a little lukewarm about it. I still like the photograph, but I felt like there were better compositions out there, so I kept searching. Here's another image in the fog, quite a simple frame, and I love how the thicker fog here made for a really nice high-key look to the image. I do like this photo, but I felt kind of the same way about this one that I did about the previous one, where, you know, it was quite exciting to shoot. I had fun in the moment, but getting back to Lightroom, I don't think these two images are ones that I would put into my portfolio.
So I kind of kept wandering around a little bit more looking for a different grove of trees to focus on, and then I shot this image. And this image is a completely different style than the last two photographs. But I really like the way this one came out. The thick fog was working really well here. There was a lot of layers to focus on, so there was just more interesting patterns and shapes in here. I love how the trees on the left side have a bunch of foliage, and then once you go towards the right side, you get those bare branches that are just kind of reaching out towards the middle of the frame, where you've got this really thick layer of fog that's catching all the light. This is a lot of fun to shoot and a lot of fun to process. And what's funny about this photograph is while I was shooting this one, I think I was less excited about this composition than I was the previous two.
Well, I think that shot came out. I played around with a few different compositions, and I think one of them will work. I mean, it's a beautiful grouping of trees, and the fog was in the right place. There's some pretty cool fog just sort of sitting out to sea, and it's really obscuring some of the sea stacks. There's also some groves of trees up this direction, so I think I'm gonna go for a walk, see if I can find anything else.
So after shooting in the fog, I kind of wandered around the coast a little bit and noticed that the waves were really powerful and generating a lot of force. And one of my favorite things to shoot with the telephoto lens is powerful wave action. So I ended up spending some time doing that, and here's what I shot. This first image just had such a beautiful shape to the wave and the different colors. I love the cyans and greens inside the wave, and that spray that was coming off from the wind was a really nice touch to this image. I went with a kind of panoramic crop here because there just wasn't anything going on towards the bottom of the frame, but I just love this kind of wavy shape to the wave as the wave was breaking, like right on the edge of contrast. So here's a closer up shot at 400 millimeters of a wave facing in another direction, and I just love the textures here. So many textures to look at. I love the kind of wave spray towards the bottom of the frame. There's just so many shapes in here, and it's certainly not easy capturing waves. I mean, they're coming in so quick. You kind of have to predict which ones are going to create the most interesting patterns. And sort of where to focus on becomes a little bit difficult. Sometimes you can use autofocus, but as these waves are traveling so quickly and you're using the telephoto lens trying to track them, sometimes autofocus has a tough time. So, I did a few with manual focus, a few with autofocus. I think this one was actually on autofocus. Here's an image I got kind of lucky with. I was just sort of shooting the waves from a cliff, and I managed to get this bird right in the middle of this beautiful wave breaking in the background. And so I added a lot of contrast, really brought out the detail here, and sort of vignetted the frame so your eye goes right into the wave and right into that bird.
Fog is doing some crazy stuff right now out to sea, and you've got the moon over the landscape. You've got Seal Rock out there and the cliff house, and I think this would make for a really cool time lapse. So I'm going to do 1 second intervals, and I've got the 16 to 35 lens right now. I'm thinking about shooting this pretty wide, probably anywhere between 20 and 24 millimeters. I'm going to shoot a high ISO because I've got the A7S III right here, so why not? I could shoot 3200 ISO and it's going to be pretty clean. F2.8, let's see, I think right about there is the composition I'm going to go with here. Actually, I probably don't even need the 2.8. I could probably do like F5.6. All right, there we go. I think that'll be good. I do want that quick interval because this fog is moving so fast. So I'm going to go into the intervalometer in this camera.
Okay, interval shoot function on, 1 second intervals. Number of shots, 500, why not? Should be good. Manual focus. I think we're good to go for this. So in the end, I managed to shoot a few images I really liked. The main goal was to try and get some light rays through the fog, and unfortunately during this day that did not happen. But I actually decided to go back to that first spot in the video multiple times, and then I finally got some light rays through those trees. Well, I'm at the same spot I was at the beginning of the video, but funny enough, it's actually a month or two, probably a month and a half later from filming what you just saw. I've been trying to come back to this spot, I don't know, 5 or 6 times with no luck as far as the fog and the light rays and the mist. And I finally got some light rays today, which I'm super excited about. I've been playing around with the 16 to 35 and also some telephoto images. And funny enough, the mist wasn't created by fog. It's actually been created by some really massive waves out on the coast, and that sea mist has brought in some really nice light into these little wood areas, which are, I mean, literally right next to the beach. So it's pretty cool. So here's one of the light rays I managed to shoot. This was with a wide angle. I'm at 26 millimeters for this one. And those light rays, I don't think this photo does very good justice to what those light rays looked like. They were so beautiful, bursting through the trees. So I really liked the way this wide angle frame came out. But then I switched to a telephoto lens, and this is what I shot. This is at 175 millimeters, and this was a lot of fun. I tried to frame these backlit branches. You can see some of the light rays kind of in the background. And this was definitely one that I was excited about while I was shooting, and all the pieces kind of fell together for this one. So I'm really happy with the way this came out. It took me a long time before I could get these light rays. This is definitely, probably my 5th or 6th time in the last month or so trying to come to this specific spot, this little grove that's not far from my house. And, you know, I've been doing that a lot this year, is just revisiting locations over and over again. And I found that I've been able to come up with some pretty cool stuff and really improve upon my compositions that I tried the first time. Maybe there was just little things I didn't like about them, or the conditions weren't right, or I messed it up somehow. I've been really enjoying revisiting places, and I would encourage you to do the same if you have the ability to. And you know, some days you just have to go with what you're given, create interesting images with the conditions that you're given. The plans that you initially had, don't just give up on those plans entirely. If you have the ability or the opportunity to go back to a spot with different conditions or different light, I'd encourage you to do that, because it can be really rewarding after failing a few times to finally go somewhere and get the shots that you were looking for. And that's definitely the case of what happened here. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one.